What's going on, guys? Jon Venus here. Today I am joined by Catherine and Darren and Georgie. So we're gonna be talking about how to break away from bad habits today. So we're gonna just share our experiences a little bit and share some tips and tricks that have helped us break from bad habits, and maybe you can get some ideas and inspiration of how to do that change yourself.
I think first of all it's getting beyond the all or nothing mindset and not thinking that you've got to implement about 1,000 changes in one go, because each thing is like a compound effect. So each little small incremental change which you make over the course of a longer period, so over the course of a year, if you avoid putting sugar in your cup of tea, for instance, if you have 3 cups of tea a day and you avoid putting sugar in each of those 3 cups over the course of the year, that's going to be a huge impact. But when you think of it like in just that 1 cup of tea, you might think, there's no point. But so when you think of things, how everything builds up, it's much more
some people
easier.
say I'm going to quit sugar, but then it's really hard to say that, because that means you can never like have cakes or biscuits or anything. So just cutting out the sugar in your tea is a good start.
So you don't need an all or nothing mindset. Each little small change you can make plays a big role.
Yeah, it's so easy to think that you have to like do everything perfectly at once instead of taking it step by step.
Yeah, it's like when you go on a diet, on a very strict diet, for example, you think that you all of a sudden have to cut calories by 1,000 or whatever, and just stick to that plan like at all times and at all costs, no matter how you're feeling, and that's why everyone fails when they take this approach.
It used to happen with us quite a few times. We've been eating like unhealthily for a long time, and then we think, okay, we're gonna be like eat perfectly now. Then we start eating like super healthy, and then we have like one day where we can't do it, and then that just like makes us go back to all the bad habits because we feel like we failed.
That's one of the things we used to do. Let's say Monday through Saturday, extremely healthy, perfect diet, and then we felt like on Sunday that we just had to have something nice, and just like it wouldn't matter just to have one day of the week eating junk food. So we would like go really hard on that day, you know, just buy everything, buy pizza. Not only, it's not like just a pizza cheat meal, it was a pizza with a Ben and Jerry's and some cookies and some Smarties and some like there's insane amount of stuff. And there was this thing about, instead of just having one meal, we're trying to take as much as possible just to have that as satisfying of a day as possible on that cheat day.
And then on Monday we had like such bad cravings that we did the same thing again.
I guess that's where the willpower comes into it. Because actually from like a hormonal standpoint, it's not that bad to just have like if you put everything all in one go, it's actually better than spacing it out. So even say like on that 7th day, instead of having a day where you eat junk food all day, if you just put that into one huge feast where you have it all in one go, it's actually better. But then it starts, because it changes like your gut microbiome, the bacteria in your gut starts craving those things. So that is where the willpower is going to come in. So you need different things which set up like trigger points, like we've said to people before. For instance, a nice way to give yourself like a signal that it's time to finish that food. You can do things like you can have a herbal tea afterwards, or you can brush your teeth. So like those couple of things, they can be the little signal to yourself that it's time to stop.
Isn't it? Just like you get rituals, like every time you walk past a coffee shop on the way to work, you're always like prompted to buy like a pastry, and you can like set up new sort of trigger points or rituals.
Or you can go for a walk afterwards.
Which is what we've done today.
So
and in terms of like the mindset thing as well, so when you wake up the next day and you've got those cravings, this is going to be about a perspective about how you look at things. So you can instead think, right, I'm going to give into those cravings, or you can say, I'm really grateful that I got to eat all that food yesterday, and now I'm also going to be really grateful for all the healthy food what I'm going to eat today to help balance things out.
And I feel it's easier if you kind of like set a day or a date where you know that you're going to have some junk food or something, and then you're prepared for it. So when it happens, you know that that's the one day, and then you go back to your normal habits.
Then you're still in control.
And you feel fine.
Totally.
One of the things that's really hard to do is actually have balance, isn't it? Most people can do one extreme or the other, but getting that middle ground is actually one of the hardest things to do, isn't it?
So that's about establishing like healthy habits. So for instance, like something which we started doing, what you first got me to do, which I just thought was completely pointless, was making the bed in the morning. You just think, what's the point in that? It's going to get messed up as soon as I get in it. But that is what starts a good cycle, like a sequence of things that are going to happen throughout the day. So if you force yourself to make the bed in the morning, like for the first 3-4 weeks that you do it, it's going to feel like it requires some willpower to do. But once you establish it as like an ingrained habit, then it doesn't require any willpower. So it's only when you try and implement these things initially that they require willpower. Then once they become a habit, there's no willpower.
You can do it on sort of like autopilot, and that's what you want to aim for habits. Like, and I think, what is the scientific sort of like period for when it does become a habit?
It's about 3-4 weeks.
21 days. Yeah, about 3 weeks.
Yeah,
that's not too long actually.
No, it's not.
Exactly. So force yourself to do something for 3 weeks. Then it doesn't involve.
I suppose it depends a little bit on what it is as well.
Yeah.
For example, like I think, like for example, when I used to smoke cigarettes, like I would stop and start again, and like I would go a couple months without doing it, and I'll go back to it. So I think there are like other triggers as well, like social settings that you have to like stay away from, like you know, going to pubs and you know everyone goes out for a smoke or whatever. It's about not setting yourself in the situations that will allow you to make the bad choices. When I stopped, I would have like really bad cravings, and what I would do is, instead of, you know, just sitting in the room and like sweat, like really feeling bad about it, I would just replace that bad habit with something else. So, you know, when I used to smoke, I went outside and I did like smoke a cigarette or whatever. So instead, I just went outside and just like breathed fresh air, walked around a little bit. So instead of just sitting and doing nothing, you just replace the bad stuff with something positive. And that, I found that really helped me with smoking cigarettes, for example.
It's like the neural pathways in the brain. Once you've got something as a habit, if you try and remove that habit, it doesn't actually disappear, like the connection in the brain, so you instead have to replace it with another habit. So you've got to look to something. So instead of like, say like if you have a cigarette like just after you've eaten or just before you're going to go to bed, all those things, you need to replace it with something else which you're doing in place of it. So it's kind of overlaying healthy habits in place. So a glass of ice water,
like when some people quit smoking, they end up putting weight on because instead of smoking they end up eating loads. So you're going to have to try and come up with a habit which is obviously going to be more beneficial and help you towards your goals. Like for instance, you could replace like watching TV in the evening with like doing a sport that you really like. So, or like if you really like drinking fizzy drinks, you could then have sparkling water.
Or just always thinking of the bigger picture, just about how that thing which you're doing in your life, what it's going to do towards the overall like majority of your life, like how things are playing that or putting that impact upon what's going to happen during your life. Like, is it worth it, basically?
And that's also with like food. If you have like cravings for ice cream, try to have like berry ice cream or banana ice cream. Stuff like that, like simple switches, I guess.
And like do things that you enjoy. Like if you really hate running and you want to get fit and like fitness is a new like habit, don't go running, do something else like swimming if you enjoy that, or cycling.
But at the same time, like for instance, when we got like saying do things which you enjoy, when we kind of, I don't know, like transformed our health because we used to be really unhealthy, I didn't have anything what I enjoyed because I literally had never developed any hobbies or anything. I just enjoyed, or thought I enjoyed, drinking, smoking, drugs. So I didn't actually have anything what I thought that I enjoyed. So again, to establish these things as habits, you have to kind of force things a little bit. To start with, you've got to experiment with things. Like I went for snowboarding lessons, realised that I didn't like it, so I didn't continue with it. So you don't necessarily have to commit to something for a long time which you don't enjoy, but keep trying things out until you find something which sticks, and you know, people which you gel with and bond with. And
or like for instance, if you really like socialising but you don't want to go to like nightclubs or to the pubs, perhaps you could join like a running club. Or something like that, or even like a book club if you're into
and if you're in the gym training, you can try the classes out. They have so many different things like dancing,
because that's motivating then, isn't it?
It's music and motivating, and you meet people.
And in terms of for you to like start feeling good about yourself so that you feel you're worthy enough to start implementing good habits, we've always said that our foundation of it all is getting enough sleep. Like, it's so crucial how important it is to get enough sleep, because there's so many knock-on effects. When you don't get enough sleep, you're then feeling more hungry, you don't feel good about yourself, you're not feeling like alert, confident,
willpower is not going to be there.
And another thing that really helps is drinking enough water. Start your day with water always.
I'd say they are the two most important things, water and sleep.
Exactly. And in regards to food, well, we help a lot because we have struggled a lot with junk food cravings. What always helps is, you know, not to go shopping when you're feeling those cravings. You know, don't go to the store right after the workout when you're feeling really hungry. You know, have a big, you know, satisfying, healthy meal, and just tell yourself that, okay, like after I eat this meal, I'll go to the grocery store, and then you won't even feel like buying those sweets because you know your body just won't need any more calories, so you won't even have the thoughts about having sweets and stuff like that. So always try to get in all the healthy stuff before you set yourself in a position where you might or might not make that bad decision. So
it's also helped me to have like bigger meals, bigger portions, instead of like snacking throughout the day.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, you just want more.
Yeah, but like Darren said, it is actually a very, very important thing to force yourself, because nothing is gonna come if you don't actually decide and put yourself in an uncomfortable position and force yourself to do things that you're not used to doing. Because you
have to want to make a change,
and you've got to expect that it is going to feel difficult. It's not going to be easy to achieve the things that are really important.
If you want changes, you have to do something different. If you keep doing the same things you've always done, you'll always get the same results. So you've got to do different things to get different results. Like in terms of going to the grocery store, you can even order your things if you live in a certain part of the world where you can get home delivery. You can order your things, and then you're not even seeing the temptations around the shop. And have your meals loosely planned for the course of the week as well. If you can establish, say, like one breakfast which you really like, one lunch which you really like, and one dinner which you really like, you can just keep eating those on rotation until you like learn some new meals, and then add those in as well. Like when you've got the idea of what you want to eat in advance, you already know that you've set yourself up, and then when you get a lot of healthy foods inside you haven't even got room for the unhealthy things anyway.
And also the people you surround with yourself can really make a difference. If people around you aren't like wanting the same things out of life or going in the same direction that you want to go in, unfortunately you might have to say goodbye to them or limit your contact with them, because you basically become like the 5 people you surround yourself with.
You're a sum of the 5 people.
So go out there and try and look for new groups, like the Meetup, what's it called?
Meetup.com.
Meetup.com is a really good app.
Or just contact people online. Like,
just get in contact. Or even if there's not a group out there, that you can go to, why don't you just start a new group up?
And also know that it will feel a bit uncomfortable, and you might not feel as happy in the beginning, like the first few weeks.
You might feel miserable.
But then in the long term, it will be so much better, and you'll feel so much happier, and you'll feel that you've achieved something.
Especially with addictions, like my nicotine addiction, for example. Like when I would throw a cigarette away, I told myself never again will I smoke this. The next day I'll like go in the trash and like pick it up, pick up the packet and stuff. That kind of cycle is like a really vicious one that you have to try to avoid at all costs, because once you promise yourself something and then you break it, it's going to be that much easier to break that promise again the next time. So really try to like go all out. Like it's going to be miserable, it's going to be extremely difficult, but you just have to force yourself through that period. You're gonna feel really, really bad, but you just have to accept that. And after, like Darren said, 3-4 weeks, you're gonna feel way better. So
this is why you set yourself small tasks and small challenges, and then that, like, which you know you can achieve. And then as you achieve them, you start to build up your confidence and build up your willpower and your belief in yourself. So then the bigger things which you challenge yourself to do, they become more achievable for you as well. So keep on working up and building
write down the goals that you want and what you want to achieve, because we found it's really important, because when I've looked back on the things that I want to achieve, you're like, wow, I actually achieved that, because you forget that, because once you reach your goals, I've always found this, you then always wanting to see what you can achieve next.
And you don't forget what you've done,
and you don't feel as satisfied. So always make sure you write down what you want to achieve, like in a month's time, in 6 months time, in a year's time, and it's really nice to look back on those, and then that will boost your confidence up as well.
So I hope you guys got a lot of ideas of how to deal or how to break away from bad habits. I know it's not going to be easy. You have to put the effort in. Nothing's going to happen until you make it happen. So anyways, make sure to check out Darren and Georgie's channel, Vegan Fitness TV. The link will be in the description box. I really recommend checking them out. One of my very favorite channels here on YouTube, so highly recommended. Check them out, subscribe, and as always guys, we'll see you very soon. Peace out.